Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. Welcome into another episode of Destination Heartland. So, who is ready for another virtual trip? Today, we're not going too far, just about 45 minutes down the road to the home of the Jayhawks, Lawrence. So, right now, I want to go ahead and bring in. There she is, Kimberly Anspach. And Kimberly is Executive Director of Explore Lawrence. Kimberly, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to share more about Lawrence with you.
And we have so much to share. So let's jump right in. If you had to describe Lawrence in 3 words to someone who's never been there before, what would you say?
Oh, I would say quirky, unexpected, and welcoming.
And, what is the first thing that you tell people when they talk about Lawrence and they're thinking about going there? What should they visit?
Well, we have such a variety of things to do and attractions that I really need to understand what they're interested in. Like, if you're a sports lover, I'm going to send you to Allen Fieldhouse, to the Cathedral of Basketball. But if you're into history and want to learn more about Lawrence's fiery past, I'm going to tell you to start your journey at the Watkins Museum of History over at 11th and Massachusetts Street. And then if you just want to soak in the vibes that make Lawrence unmistakable, you're going to need to spend your afternoon on Mass Street shopping and dining and getting a good cup of coffee.
It is truly a place that has something for everyone. Let's start here. Let's talk about the history because Lawrence has had some key moments that shape the history of not just here in Kansas, but American history.
Yes, back in 1863, Lawrence was the site of the largest direct domestic terrorism event prior to 9/11, when William Quantrell and his raiders came across the border and burned our town, sacked it, and killed a good portion of our male settlers. So we have absolutely some fiery history for you to explore. And we do have sites that you can visit to learn more about that history. And we also have some great walking tours of sites of Quantrell's raid that you can experience and walk through on your own, or during our Civil War on the Border event, you can do that with a guided tour as well.
Yeah, and it was Bleeding Kansas that was
Yeah.
basically a key role in the Civil War.
Yes. So when the Kansas and Nebraska Act was passed by Congress, it opened up the Kansas Territory to a popular vote of whether we entered as a free state or as a slave state. And we had settlers come over from Massachusetts with the New England Immigrant Aid Society and set up Lawrence solely for the purpose of populating it with abolitionists sympathetic to the free state cause. And what made Lawrence so contentious during that time was we also had the constitutional government over in Lecompton that was the other side of that story. And so part of the work we do at Explore Lawrence is really telling Douglas County's really complicated history in that Civil War era with the Lecompton Constitution Hall and then those Free Staters over here in Lawrence.
That is awesome. And, you talked a little bit about historical markers and historical sites. So, what are some of the must see places that people should go when they visit Lawrence?
Yes, so speaking in Lawrence and Douglas County terms, I'm going to tell you to check out the Blackjack Battlefield that's outside of Baldwin City, actually. That is the site of a skirmish between John Brown and some pro slavery settlers that kind of really, some historians will say, is the first battle of the Civil War. And then after that, you need to come over and you need to go to the Watkins. They will get you all oriented of everything that you need to see. And then I would have you next head to the Eldridge Hotel, because that is where William Quantrell and his men set up shop during the raid. And that hotel was burned down twice in our history by pro-slavery settlers and rebuilt twice.
Oh, wow. That is really
Yeah.
a neat part of history that you can take part in and see in person. Now, the other part of Lawrence that's kind of synonymous when we talk about Lawrence is Jayhawk country, University of Kansas. That is a large part of the community there. Just talk a little bit about that aspect.
Absolutely. So, we are the home of the Jayhawks, Kansas, University of Kansas, and that being a international research university really does feed into our culture and really how we approach things. But I want to talk a little bit about our sports history when we talk about KU. We do have a basketball team you may have heard of, the
Hmm.
University of Kansas Jayhawks. We've won a few championships. It's no big deal. But most excitingly for tourists is we are also the home of the original rules of basketball. So David Booth did purchase those at auction, and they are now on display at the Booth Hall of Athletics. And with that, you can go see the Cathedral of Basketball, Allen Field House, and then we have one of the only known recordings of James Naismith on a radio program talking about how he invented basketball and relaying some of those rules. So it is a really unique experience for that basketball lover and really a special thing to see a basketball game in Allen Fieldhouse. There is no place like Allen Fieldhouse for a basketball game.
Oh, I bet. And just Lawrence in general, as far as, KU sports, athletics, that is huge there. So many, people just go there for that athletic experience in Lawrence.
Yes, and we recently have started renovations on our football stadium, and that has reopened with phase one construction. So
Hmm.
the west side of the stadium is all renovated, has brand new seats. It is beautiful. Like, you really need to go see a football game. And then we are getting ready to start phase two development on that, which will take down the east side of our stadium and will match that west side experience. So we will have a whole new, brand new, complete stadium by, I'm thinking 2028 is what they're telling me, but um, it's really improved that visitor experience in the stadium with that new side. The new management company, Oakview Group, has been doing all the catering and the food experience. You can even get local favorites like Johnny's at the stadium now. So it's really exciting, and we are really glad to have the Jayhawks back at the Booth Stadium.
I know because the Jayhawks were here in Kansas City for a little bit at Arrowhead. So, yes, so exciting for them to be back in Lawrence. And it is truly the ultimate sports experience when you go there. Let's talk a little bit about the University of Kansas because, along with KU, there are some experiences that people can get there when it comes to art and also natural history, too.
Yes, yes. So we have two university museums. They are literally right across the street from each other. So you can start your day at the Natural History Museum on KU campus, which is the site of the a diorama that was in the World's Fair in Chicago. So it's an interesting history plus natural history experience. That is 3 floors of exhibits relating to natural history. They have a beehive that comes into the building that you can actually watch the bees working.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really fascinating to just sit there and watch that. They have a giant mosasaur hanging from the ceiling when you walk in. So as soon as you walk into that building, you really understand the history, and you just are greeted like literally right above your head with an ancient sea creature. So that is something that you've got to experience. And then the Spencer Museum of Art is just across the street, and that is their collection in total would rival the Nelson Atkins, but because of space, they don't have it all on display. So what I love about that is they are constantly updating and curating what is available to the public to consume. And currently, they have permanent exhibits, and then they also change out 2 different galleries seasonally. So they have ever changing options. And the best thing about both of these attractions is they are free to access to the public. If you want to donate to them, they always accept donations and have that donation box out front. but they're not going to turn anyone away for lack of being able to donate. So it is something that is fantastic for families who are really trying to get the most out of their travel dollar right now. They can come and experience both of those, and it's in walking distance of each other and a great way to spend a day.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. That is a great way to go and kind of take in some major art, but also kind of get a lesson on natural history too. I love that idea of the bee museum for sure. And the other thing too that is really neat is that, we're just scratching the surface of what is there to do in Lawrence because we haven't even gotten into the downtown area, Massachusetts streets. That is a big attraction there in town.
Yes, it is. It is shockingly busy most days. Like what I love is I love to bring people in from out of town that don't have a bustling downtown. And I remember bringing my family in from South Central Kansas a couple years ago on a random Wednesday. They were like, "What's going on downtown? Why is it so busy?" And I was said, "Well, it's just a Wednesday, and it's actually not that busy, but it is definitely the heart of our city." Lawrence has a lot of what I love about Massachusetts Street is it is a great mix of local shops, local dining, and then we also have some nationally known brands down here that you would be familiar with. So, you can come down and you can go to Chico's, but you can also go to Eccentricity across the street, which is a more boutique experience for your clothes shopping. I will say for dining, we are so spoiled in Lawrence. I will travel to other destinations and probably not eat better than I'm eating in Lawrence, Kansas. So on every street, you're going to find a locally chef-owned dining concept. A lot of our restaurants work directly with our local growers and have local produce and locally sourced meat. It is just such a diverse dining experience, and you can get high-end dining and you can get grab and go sandwiches that are just gourmet down. It's just insane. We are so spoiled here.
And, not to mention, it's kind of the heart of the city, especially
Yeah.
on game days, on when the Jayhawks play. I mean, that's the place to be, is Mass Street.
100%. And one of the new things that I am so excited about that KU Athletics has started with the reopening of the football stadium, the day before game day, they don't tell you when, but there will be a walkthrough of the KU marching band. So you'll be downtown eating on in one of our outdoor dining experiences, and members of the marching band are going to come by on the sidewalk playing, and it is just such a great way to get the community involved and excited about game day. Even I'm excited about the renovation, but I'm really excited about how KU is trying to engage the community with the stadium renovations and really make it a whole community event when we have a football game weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, with the marching band coming down the street, what better way to kind of drum up that school spirit? I love
Yeah,
that.
you,
I love
you
that.
gotta love a marching band, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We already talked about two key museums on the campus of KU, but even outside of the campus in town in Lawrence, there's some really great museums to explore there too.
Yeah. I mentioned the Watkins Museum of History. Of course, they function as our historical society. They have a beautiful renovated bank building, and it is one of the most iconic buildings in our downtown. And they have roving or variable seasonal exhibitions, and then they have some permanent collection. It's a great place to learn about anything related to Kansas and Douglas County history. We also have quite a few art galleries in town. So we have the Lawrence Art Center, which has exhibition space that they'll change out about quarterly, maybe more often depending, and they always have some unique and unmistakable exhibition in those spaces. And then we also have galleries on Mass Street that you can actually go to and purchase art, like the Phoenix Gallery and Prairie Hills Art Gallery. They have artists that can sign there, and also at Prairie Hills, sometimes you'll see them having painting out on the sidewalk, and people creating their works right there, and you can go in and buy from that artist. It's really a fantastic thing. And then if you want to go out into the county, Sharon, we have Lecompton tells part of that Civil War story with Constitution Hall and the Lecompton Museum of History. And it's just rich in telling not only Kansas and Douglas County history, but connecting that Kansas story to national politics, and how the way Kansas in the 1860s really did shape how the nation approached the Civil War, and those national politics kind of started in Kansas during that era.
Yeah, and speaking of politics, you guys also have, which I saw, which I thought was really interesting, which is the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics, too, there in Kansas, or Lawrence.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and they have the largest stained glass American flag on display. So when you walk in, you are immediately greeted by this spectacle of, I would say it's almost 3 stories tall, stained glass American flag. It is awe-inspiring. And of course, they tell the story of Senator Dole, who was a great Kansan and definitely on that national spotlight. They also have some information about Elizabeth Dole, his wife, who is also a powerhouse in national politics. And it rivals a presidential library in their resources and their research and their exhibitions. If he had been a president, this would have been his presidential library, but it is on par with any presidential library you could go to, and definitely worth seeing when you're in Lawrence, especially at anytime. But they also do a lot of special lectures and things. So if you watch their calendar, you can see some very interesting topics being discussed about politics and how the U.S. is approaching them right now. So it's a great place to come and learn about it, not only about Senator Dole, but about American political climate and how we exist as Americans.
That's so interesting and such an important topic, especially now. Boy, we have just scratched the surface on Lawrence, but what we want to do is we want to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with Kimberly in just a moment, so stay with us. Welcome back to Destination Heartland. Today we are exploring Lawrence, home of the Jayhawks. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Kim back in. And Kimberly on spot. She is with Explore Lawrence. Excuse me, Kim. Okay, so we were just talking about museums and all these wonderful things to do in Lawrence. And there's something else that's kind of cool, too, which is Old West Lawrence. Tell me all about that.
Yeah, so Old West Lawrence is a neighborhood adjacent to downtown, so definitely within walking distance. And it is just it's such a unique neighborhood because it is where the settlers of the New England Immigrant Aid Society and the early professors of KU and really those philanthropists that created Lawrence lived. So you can walk around, experience what it felt like in those wealthier neighborhoods of times gone by. And there are just some beautiful Victorian, Gothic, Revival architecture. And we do have a few architecture self-guided tours on our website that you can access that talks about the different architecture of those houses and that neighborhood in general. And it is one of my favorite places to just go for a walk, especially this time of year as the leaves are changing. There's some nice old established trees, and it is just a level of Midwest charm that it's hard to access in other places, and is really unique to Lawrence that neighborhood has been preserved and still has brick streets, great sidewalks, and just such interesting houses that you like to walk through and wonder, like, who lived there and what did they do? But we do have some of that information between us and the Watkins Museum. If you have an address, you're like, where did this house come from? You can find that information. We've done a lot of research on that. So it is a really cool neighborhood, and I highly recommend walking through there sometime when you're in Lawrence.
That is so neat because, I mean, one of my favorite things to see is architecture because there's so many changes between, then and now. And to see it from back then, it was so much more detailed and there was so much craft involved. So that would be a really cool thing to see. Okay, now let's take it outside of town because we are talking about some great opportunities to get outdoors and for recreation too in Lawrence.
Yeah, so we have some really good opportunities for hiking and cycling. I'll start with the Baker Haskell Wetlands south of town. It is a large wetland preserve that is a great stop for migratory birds. So
Ooh.
if you are interested in birding at all, now is a great time to come as they migrate through, and you can see so many species that don't make their home in Kansas, but they are coming through on their way to their winter grounds. They have paved trails out there, they have gravel trails and dirt trails. So it is really accessible to anyone. And there is a great boardwalk that will take you over the wetlands. And I've been out there and I've seen beavers at work. I've seen a mink out there, which was very weird. I had to figure out what that was because I was like, I thought it
Yeah.
was a weasel, but it was not. And that is a great spot and pretty. I mean, it's a pretty easy hike, so you can do a mile or you can do 3 to 5 miles. It's up to you. If you are a cyclist, we have the levee trails up by the Kansas River. We have like mountain bike trails through the woods, and then we also have the flat levee that goes along the Kansas River, so you can cycle on the crushed limestone path, or you can get off road and jump some logs and have a good old time on your mountain bike.
Oh, that's so neat. And one of my favorites, which I just experienced this year, which I've wanted to do for the 4 years that I've been here, is Grinter Farms. What a unique experience. I mean, and it's postcard beautiful out there.
It's a literal postcard that we sell in the visitor center. No, but yeah, you would be surprised at how many people reach out to us, like starting even in like early August, and they want to plan a trip, but they want to come through when those sunflowers are in bloom. So they will reach out to our organization and ask, well, when do I need to come so I can see those? And somehow they magically time it. So it is usually Labor Day weekend. Those sunflowers are in full bloom. And it is, if you have not been out and you are a true Kansan, you need to go out and be in those acres of sunflowers. And it is just awe inspiring. It is so beautiful. And it's really accessible. They ask for donations, but it's a free attraction. They just ask that you respect their farm. It is a working farm. Don't leave things in
Mm-hmm.
their field, but take all the pictures you want. And it is my favorite family picture was when we went out there and 10 years ago when my child was a little guy, we
Uh-huh.
got our family pictures taken out there, and they will always be on my wall because it is just the most quintessential Kansas experience you can get.
It truly is. And, for us being from California, my husband was like, I've never seen anything like this. And of course, our Christmas card this year is going to be the picture we took out there at Grinter Farms. I mean, you can't get a
Perfect.
bad angle. Every angle is beautiful there for
Yeah,
sure.
it is. And my pro tip for visiting Grinter Farms is go in the morning because it has less people,
Oh,
but you
mhm.
still get that good light. So that's my pro tip is go in the morning. You can beat the crowds and still get the good light.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And, outside of, outdoors and recreation, of course, we have to talk about the festivals in Lawrence because there are some good festivals there too.
I mean, we do love a good party in this town. So coming up, I would recommend people check out for the holiday season, especially, we have some really unique opportunities. Every year, we have to rescue Santa off of Weaver's department store. I don't
Ah,
know why he keeps getting stuck on that roof, but you'd think he'd learn. But every year, the fire department has to come and rescue him off that roof. And then we get to turn our holiday lights on downtown. And that is always the Friday after Thanksgiving. So if you're looking for something that is family friendly and just a unique experience, come down to that Santa rescue on the Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm assuming he's going to get lost again this year and end up on that roof. It seems to be a pattern. And then The first Sunday or the first Saturday in December, we have the Lawrence Old Fashioned Christmas Parade. And that is a unique experience in that it is a purely horse drawn parade. There are no modern vehicles, it is all horse drawn, and it just brings horse enthusiasts from across the region. We have people coming as far as Texas and Wyoming that bring their rigs in to see that. And the highlight of that is at the end of it, Santa's on the back of a stagecoach and waving to everyone. It is just such a magical day in downtown, and it's in the morning, so you still have time to go enjoy lunch and do a little Christmas shopping that weekend.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. And what a unique experience, too. You don't hear a lot of things about a parade with horse-drawn carriages, so that would be really cool. And outside of the holidays, there's some other key festivals too. Like, let's talk about Midsummer Night on Mass.
Yes, so that is the reimagining of the downtown summer sidewalk sale, which was typically in July and was always on the hottest day of the year. So we decided to move it into early or mid June. It's usually around like the summer equinox, summer solstice. I think, yeah, summer solstice. So it is all the shops put special deals out on the sidewalk. There's usually some live music aspect to it, and it is just a great shopping experience. You can come down, enjoy those evenings on Mass Street, and sometimes like I said, there's live music, there'll be special street vendors, and then what the most fun is getting the shops out on the sidewalk so people can just kind of browse on the sidewalk and have a nice little evening shopping experience, and then pop into get a cocktail or so on a porch, and then continue your shopping extravaganza. So I highly recommend people look for that in June, and that is hosted by Downtown Lawrence Inc. They organize that, and we help them promote it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And then, of course, along with the shopping, we already touched a little bit about the eateries, the culinary scene there in Lawrence. And a great way to experience that is through Restaurant Week.
Yes, Lawrence Restaurant Week takes place in January. I don't have the dates on the top of my head, but it is a highlight of Lawrence restaurateurs across the city. So they create special menus for that week, usually have a prefix menu that you can get a whole dining experience that is specially curated for the chef's specialties and passions. So it is a great time if you want to come to Lawrence and experience some things that you can't get every day. Lawrence Restaurant Week is a great way to do that. And the best part about Lawrence Restaurant Week is that it is a fundraiser for the Hospitality Relief Fund. And that was a fund that was started by the Lawrence Restaurant Association during COVID to provide direct aid to hospitality workers. And they've continued that fund and set it up as at our Douglas County Community Foundation, that hospitality workers who are experiencing financial difficulties can apply and get direct aid benefits from that fund. So it's not only delicious food, but it really helps support our hospitality industry year round.
Wow. And so many great events and festivals. Are we missing any? I mean, the list is so long.
It's so hard. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Lawrence Busker Festival. It is Lawrence personality on display. It is over Memorial Day weekend. It's 3 days of street performers at different pitches. You have fire eaters, you have comedians, wow. You have a unicorn on a giant unicycle that you're afraid he's going to drop his phone. That's the worst part of it. And Pogo Fred is usually here, which is like a crazy pogo tricks artist. It is so much fun. It's spread across 3 to 4 pitches all throughout downtown, and it is just Lawrence in a nutshell right there.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that's what I love about Lawrence is there's so many of these just really unique experiences. And we've talked about all these different things that happen throughout the year. So I always ask this question, what's the best time to go to visit Lawrence? But it sounds like you could go year round.
Should really come anytime. I mean, if you're coming in the spring, you're going to get the festival season. If you're coming in the fall, you're going to have football. If you're coming in the winter, you get to come to Restaurant Week. And then in the summer, you get to experience Midsummer Night on Mass. So you probably just need to come in every season would be my answer to that.
It's a place that you could visit time and time again. All right.
Yes.
Well, Kimberly, we are so glad that you were able to share with us today and, really take us on this virtual trip of Lawrence. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. Thanks. Okay. So that is it. Did you send me videos and pictures and
I did
things?
not. I just noticed that, and I asked my content manager to send me a link.
Uh-huh.
So I have a generic like Lawrence Leisure Assets, but I'm not sure everything we talked about will be in there. So I'll send you that link.
Okay.
And if you need more, just let me know and we can get you some more pictures.
Actually, if you could just do it in general, because I know my editor Kat likes to have more than less when she puts this together.
Okay.
So that would be great.
Okay, I will just copy that link and email it over to you if that works.
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you so much, Kim. That was so great.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Okay, thank
Do
you.
you know when it'll air, Sharon?
This airs Tuesday.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah,
all right.
so Kat
I'll be on the lookout for it.
Yes. So Kat's gonna put that together this weekend. So yeah. Okay. Thank
Sounds
you.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Wasn't that fun? Lawrence is such a great place to go explore. All right, well, that does it for this episode of Destination Heartland. And remember, a new one drops every Tuesday, and you can find them on KCTV5 Plus. Try that again. Okay. Well, wasn't that fun? Lawrence is such a fun place to explore. Well, that does it for this episode of Destination Heartland, which, remember, a new episode drops every Tuesday. You can find them on KCTV5 Plus. I'm Sharon Chen for KCTV5 News.